Good evening and welcome to the Hat and Big Grass Fires Informational Community Meeting for Sunday, August 2nd. My name is Nathan Judy, Information Officer for California Interagency Incident Management Team 5. I will be your facilitator for tonight's meeting. Today you're going to hear from members of our Incident Command Team as well as our partners. After the formal presentation of the meeting, we will take questions that were submitted through email and ones that are in the chat, and we'll get to those after our formal presentation if there's time. We're going to keep this meeting to under an hour, as right after this we need to brief our folks that are working on night shift at 7 o'clock. So we need to make sure we can get plenty of time to get those folks briefed. We are going to kick it off this evening first by talking about where we're at with the fires. So the Hat Fire is currently at 95 acres or 95% contained. It's holding at 44,122 acres, and it currently has 211 personnel assigned to that fire. For the Big Grass Fire, it's currently at 336,778 acres, 19% contained. Assigned to the fire is 659 incident personnel. Our first speaker this evening is going to be our Operational Section Chief, Jaime Hidalgo.
All right, good afternoon, Jimmy Hidalgo, Operations. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got the Hat Fire, 95% contained. We still continue to staff resources out there. No growth, no movement, no control issues that have been reported in the last 24 hours. So that's good. We'll continue to staff folks out there in the coming days. One thing I will note is through the wind event yesterday, no issues on the Hat Fire. All right, moving over to the Big Grass. So starting over here in the western side of the fire, everything continues to stay within its current footprint. You do see some red lines here on the north side and the south side. Those are just because it's extremely difficult terrain for our resources to get in there. We've got a UAS module or a drone platform on order that would allow us to fly these steep drainages and look at them, and that'd be able to tell us if we have any heat showing in there, and then we could potentially look at trying to get folks into there. As you slide up here into the north, again, you've got a lot of black line that represents containment. We still do have folks in here patrolling, making sure that everything stays within the line, doing any mop-up that's interior as necessary, and no real growth here in the last few days, so that's a good thing. As we come up here to the east side of Pleasant Valley Road, you do see some red line. Again, that's representative of the terrain and the inability to get folks in there. So we'll continue to watch these areas, mop up and put control lines in where we can. And then sliding over into the Flint Creek area, and as you kind of start to move east on the fire, you do see some black line represent containment, no growth in there. Again, we do continue to have folks all around these pieces that represent black, but unlikely that we're going to see any growth in there. Sliding further east into the Boulder Creek drainage, we've got a combination of direct hand line in there, and then we start to look at some of our indirect options. Yesterday, as I moved down the eastern side of this fire, we did see pretty significant growth in multiple areas of the fire. One of those being Boulder Creek in the area Triangle Flat. It did hit an area called the Management Action Point for us. That just notified us to make notifications to the county sheriff. But the footprint that you see here is largely indicative of where the fire is. As you come down here towards South Mountain, a few days ago, I had mentioned that limited to little to no growth in there. That remains valid. We still do have folks in there looking at that, trying to put in control lines where they can. And priorities in that area for us would be the communications infrastructure and the timber values up there. I am gonna slide a little east here because I do want to talk about some containment lines that we're putting in. So we've got Flint Creek Road running out towards the community of Triangle, and then we're using the Josephine Ranch Road that runs north-south here, and down into Mud Flat, and then out to the Star Ranch Road. So we do have folks out in front of this putting containment lines in, utilizing hand crews, heavy equipment, and those sorts of things. Down here in the area of Star Ranch and Mud Flat, we did see some pretty significant growth here yesterday. It got, as of the last report, was about a mile from Mud Flat Road. We do have resources in the area, and a priority for us is to keep that stuff on the north side of Mud Flat Road. Coming down into the Star Ranch Road area, we did have a piece of fire yesterday afternoon come across Star Ranch Road. Resources were able to get in there early this morning, get that corralled, and picked that piece up. Down in this area, I will say that most of our resources in the early part of the day have been really focused on movement of cattle. So they've been working with the folks down there and moving cattle and trying to assist them and getting them in the right place. Southern end, we did see growth yesterday. No threats to any of the proposed control lines, but we're still looking at what is going to be the best option here, direct or indirect. End of report.
Great, thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Next up is going to be our incident meteorologist, Rich Thompson.
Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Rich Thompson, incident meteorologist assigned to the Big Grass and Hat fires. Quick description of what an IMET or incident meteorologist does. I am here to provide any and all weather support to the firefighters fighting the fire. That includes doing forecasts, briefings, community meetings like this one, and also media interviews, basically just any sort of weather-related item that the team needs have done. I am here to provide that for them. Now, that being said, let's go into the weather. As you know, yesterday we were under red flag conditions. We had some very strong and gusty winds, gusting about 30 to 35 miles per hour, some very hot temperatures, and some very low humidity across the area. So that led to the fire being really active yesterday. Now today, we've had much cooler temperatures. It's been about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. So that's been a big help to the firefighters today, is those cooler temperatures. And also, the winds have been a lot less. We've seen gusts today generally about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So overall, weather-wise, conditions have been much better today than they were yesterday. Excuse me. Now, going into tomorrow is going to be very similar to today. Going to have cool temperatures. Humidities will still be pretty low, probably around like 10, 15% or so. But the winds will be the same, about maybe gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon. So just very typical conditions you expect this time of year for this area. But then going into Tuesday, here you can see what's called my weather matrix, which is kind of an outlook weather product that I produce for the fire. And you can see beginning on Tuesday and continuing through most of this upcoming week, we have a return of very hot and dry conditions to the area. So by Thursday and Friday, high temperatures will be in the 80s and 90s. Humidities will be in the low teens or single digits. So it's going to be very hot and very dry. And also we're going to still have some gusty winds, still like generally southwest to northwest winds gusting about 20 to 25 miles per hour in the afternoon and the evening hours. So overall, there will be continued, the hotter and drier conditions, and the continued wind will make for an elevated fire weather condition for the area from Tuesday on through the end of next weekend. So overall, it's something we have to watch. Going to be definitely today and tomorrow are going to be the best days weather-wise for the firefighting efforts. Then it starts, like the hotter and drier conditions for Tuesday on for the rest of the week will make things a bit more challenging for the firefighters. So that's it for me.
Great, thanks, Rich. Next up is our fire behavior analyst, Matt Brown.
Yeah, good evening. So I'm a fire behavior analyst for the team, and what I do is I work closely with Rich and the operations folks and look at all the factors that drive fire behavior, and we kind of craft plans around that, and we look at places that where tactics are going to be more effective, and then we're looking at the overall fire environment, if it's conducive for burning or large-scale fire growth. We also plan evacuations based off of that. And there's a lot of other things that go into anticipating where fire is going to spread, what direction it's going to spread, and how big it's going to get, because we need to order resources and get in the system to do that. And so working closely with the rest of the members of the team and supporting the team, we take a look at the overall fire environment, and sometimes we use models. And right here is a picture of a fire modeling run where we use the heat signatures here, and we went ahead and let the fire rip across this digital landscape to simulate what would happen in the red flag conditions yesterday if we didn't do any suppression effort at all. So this model doesn't represent what the fire is going to do. It doesn't represent where it's going to go. It doesn't represent anything, because there's firefighters out there actually influencing the spread rates and directions of where the fire is going to go. This is what it would do if everyone left, and the fire would be allowed to burn throughout that burn period and have no action on it. And so if you see that this map looks quite a bit more catastrophic than the map does now. The normal operations map looks significantly less. In fact, we only achieved about a quarter of the predicted growth out of this because of the suppression efforts of the operations team and the support that we receive from all the team functions. And so it's a really good tool we can use to kind of understand what places of the fire are going to give us the biggest growth, and where we could exert suppression effort and suppression force in those areas to kind of slow the fire down or give us the best chances. It takes an opportunity for us to use a limited amount of resources and apply specific pressure and specific tactics in areas that we're going to have the best chances of kind of backing that fire off from its destructive capabilities. So going forward, as you heard Rich, we're going to get hotter and drier in the week, but we're not going to go into red flag conditions. This is a model of red flag conditions. This is yesterday's fire behavior was very extreme. It did a lot. It did move quite a bit, and it was in ideal burning conditions for the 12 hours that it was in place. Going forward, we're not going to experience the winds, and then the winds that we do experience are going to be somewhat out of alignment with the direction of the drainages, so we're not going to get that funneling effect either. So even though it's going to get hotter and drier, we like our chances going forward, because the wind influence is what was really challenging the suppression efforts. It makes it very difficult for us to hold fire on containment lines. The fire's moved into some heavier fuels that can spot, and because they're heavier, they produce bigger chunks of burning material, and they go even farther with the wind. And so the farther they go, the more difficult it is, because it lands in inaccessible spots and places that are just too dangerous to put firefighters. So going forward, we're feeling like we have quite a bit more. We have a lot better conditions for firefighting going forward, because the wind factor is going to be quite a bit less. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. Next up, we have Owyhee County Sheriff Larry Kendrick.
Got through yesterday, and was not as bad as it could have been that we anticipated. No structure loss, and that is a great thing. And above everything, no loss of life. Triangle is still evacuated, will remain so on the evacuation level of go. Silver City will remain in set for the time being. However, let me go into just a little bit quickly about evacuation levels. Evacuation levels may change due to firefighting efforts to contain this fire. We may adjust your level of evacuation based upon that for safety. It's not anticipated that there will be many more in the red, but it's until the their strategy is solidified. From that, we will get together and adjust the evacuation level and lines and evaluate all of them. When you're in the ready mode, if you're put in the ready mode, that is the time to pack everything that you want, any preparations you want to do outside, put on your sprinklers or anything else. That is the time to do it. Once you move into the set mode, all preparations and packing are complete. You are watching the hillside for the fire, you're looking at the news, you're waiting for updates on your phone, and you're ready to go. Once you go into the go mode, that is, go straight to your vehicle and hit the road. Drive out of the area in an orderly manner. If there's deputies there, they will give you directions. And so that is my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. Next up from the Idaho Department of Lands, and it's Agency Administrator Gene Johnson.
Good afternoon. My name is Dean Johnson. I'm the agency administrator for the Idaho Department of Lands. We're responsible for all the state endowment lands there. We've been working closely with the team, developing strategies, or helping develop strategies to protect the resources out there on endowment land. We've also been working with the Wildland Fire Service as well, and working with all our lessees. So we really appreciate it. We appreciate the team coming in to take this fire and help us get this under control. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Appreciate that. Next up, from the BLM Vail office, we have, out of Oregon, we have Acting Field Manager Ty Morgan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ty Morgan, and I'm the Acting Field Manager for the Malheur Field Office and the BLM in Oregon, in Vail, Oregon. I'm just going to touch tonight on our active fires that are burning in our field office. Our first one, we have Big Grass Fire, we've all been talking about, started on July 23rd. And on July 25th and 26th, somewhere right around there, the fire jumped the Oahe River, and it was subsequently burned across the Oregon state line and into Idaho. We work closely with the Wildland Fire Service for support for all incidences to the Malheur Field Office to address immediate issues on the ground. We issued a temporary land closure for this fire for public health and safety. If you would like for more information about that, we have the Oregon-Washington Fire Closure and Restrictions website, or you can call the Vail District Front Desk at 541-473-3144. The second fire we'll talk about tonight is the Hat Fire, another one we've all been discussing. And with this one, I will just add that we also issued a temporary public closure for this as well. The last thing that I'd like to touch on tonight is the Coleman Creek Fire. This one is up north. It started on July 25th in Harney County. The fire is being managed by California Incident Management Team 4, and an extensive suppression line was implemented, but unfortunately the fire is still progressing east at this time. Just in closing, I really want to express my sincerest appreciation for all of our colleagues at the BLM Idaho, the Wildland Fire Service, all the incident management teams, the RFPAs, for their outstanding dedication and collaboration. Above all, I commend the courageous individuals on the ground who are tirelessly working to protect lives in face of these challenging times. Their professionalism and commitment is exemplary. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Next up from the U.S. Wildland Fire Service, we have Marty Abel.
Good afternoon. Once again, my name is Marty Adel. I am the unit chief for the U.S. Wildland Fire Unit 1, formerly Boise District, acting FMO. One thing I just wanted to touch base on real quick, I've had several questions asked of the local resources that are in the area. I had a couple folks ask why is Bruno District, or excuse me, Bruno Station, or some of the folks out of Boise Station not on this fire. Once the team comes in and starts managing that fire, we try to get our resources off the line, off those fires. They are very good. They know that area. They work really well, especially with the RFPAs, all the leases in that area. But the bigger issue that we have is not only existing but new fires. Once the team comes in, is able to secure that area and start diligently working, setting up a program to manage that incident, we try to get our folks back. Those individuals from Bruno, from Hammett, adjoining forces from the Boise National, IDL, and other folks from our unit have the best knowledge and the best contacts for the area around Boise in this case. So we definitely try to get those individuals back, get them reset, get them a couple nights sleep, and then get them back on the line as soon as we get another IA or initial attack. As stated by the district manager from Vail, on the 23rd, we had a large amount of lightning go through, started the fire we're dealing with in this particular venue. But on the Boise side or the Idaho side, over the next 3 days, we had 15 fires throughout the area, everywhere from Mayfield over by Mountain Home, further south than where this fire currently is, up near Murphy, as well as even further north up near Weiser. Some of the fires, the Tartar fire, we're still working on diligently with an incident management team up there, but all the other ones we were able to gather and quell, so they are no longer an issue. But once again, try to get our folks back so they're ready for the next one. Just like last night, we got a call. So with that, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. And next up is going to be our incident commander from Team 5, Dustin Mueller.
All right. Good evening, folks. Very pleasure to be here and given this opportunity to speak to you. So about 7 days ago on Sunday, my team was activated to come up here and give you guys some help from all over California. So what we are is a interagency management team specialized in wildland fire. We really have members from San Diego to Northern California, almost to the Oregon border, and where I sit, and close to Nevada. So we have members from all over. We were really given a couple different tasks on this fire. We were mobilized originally for the Hat Fire, and then we essentially inherited this one as well, as this one kicked off shortly thereafter, and it was given the local units some problems. So some of our original objectives were protecting the life and property of the area. The cattle was a big thing. We get the cattle out of the way. And then 3 was relief for the local RFPAs in Oregon at the time, and then also relieving the RFPAs on the Idaho side as well. And then 4 was providing logistics to the existing firefighters that we have on the fire when we showed up. So to give you a little bit of a perspective of what's going on nationally since then is that the last 7 days we remain in preparedness level 5, which is the highest preparedness level in the nation. We're bringing in firefighters from Australia, all over, to help us and assist. Everybody's taxed out. We got letters from the Secretaries of Agriculture and Interior for all personnel on deck to assist us in fighting these fires. As you know, there's fires recently in the last couple days that started specifically in Idaho, Nevada, and also as recently as yesterday up near Spokane, where it lost 650 homes. Those fires are taxing resources and incident management teams. So how that affects us here in where we're at currently is we're not getting any more resources. There's no relief in sight, and there's no resources as we time out with our rest and our R&R. We're not going to get relieved. So what that means is we are under a little bit of a time crunch, but we have a good strategy in place, and we're going to try to enact that strategy here soon. So with that, listening to my staff and weather and fire behavior, looking at all that, what we want to do is, do the right plan for the people on the ground and for the communities at risk. So going back to my priorities, right, is life and property. So what we're going to do is look at securing the southern end. We have some opportunities there in the next couple of days, like operations stated. Secure the lower end and the south and southeast side, and then look at that northeast side, because eventually the wind shift is going to happen, and we're going to get the traditional wind flow, and where Flint and Silver City will be impacted by winds. So we want to lock that off and make that secure. So like the sheriff said, is we want to make sure everybody could go home peaceful and get back to normal as soon as possible. So we're going to start with that, and we got 7 days in. We're about 700 people, like Nathan Judy said. So we're doing good. We just got about 7 more days to go, and hopefully we get this thing contained and controlled for you guys. So I just want to thank the cooperators and partners that we have out here, the Owyhee County Sheriff, Malheur County Sheriff, the Oregon RFPA, and then also the Idaho RFPA. Those RFPs are detrimental and good for us, and they've provided us so many awesome opportunities to help out and get the local knowledge on the land. So once again, thank you for inviting us.
Great. Thanks, Dustin. I appreciate that. Next, we're going to get to your questions that you submitted through email and the ones you put in the chat. First up, we're going to bring back up Matt Brown. He's got a question.
Okay, so there's a question out there. It says, I own a home in Silver City. Should I be worried in the long run of the big grass fire overrunning the town? And I would say right now, the Silver City is in an evacuation set as level 2, so a little bit of a warning, and it's not out of the woods. It's not out of the realm of possibility that fire could extend out towards from the big grass fire and impact Silver City. It would take several days to reach there, and it'd have to have pretty ideal conditions. But when we use the models and we say what's the probability of it reaching Silver City, right now I can confidently say it's less than 2%. It's not a for sure thing, but we don't work in a business where we even 2% risk to a really historic community like that is one we're not willing to take. So all of our suppression efforts kind of focus on that. The fire behavior conditions in the next few days are fairly favorable in kind of pushing the fire back down and away from Silver City. So we're looking good for a few days, but again, when the southwest prevailing winds come, the risk kind of goes back up again. And again, we're not willing to take those kind of risks. So our focus is to get the northeast part of the fire taken care of, so that the Silver City risk completely goes away. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. And now we got some questions for operations, so we're going to bring back up Jimmy Hidalgo.
All right, good evening once again. Jimmy Hidalgo, Operations. Question was, where was the air support today? And I'll give you a quick rundown of the aircraft that we have available to us. So we have 5 Type 1s, 5 Type 1 helicopters. Those are the largest in size. We have 1 Type 2, and actually let me back up to the Type 1s. One of the 5 Type 1s is designated as a hoist ship for any injured firefighters. So we have 4 water-dropping Type 1 helicopters, largest in size. We have 1 what we would call a medium or a Type 2, and that's going to obviously carry less water than the Type 1. And then we have a Type 3 that carries less than the Type 1 and less than the Type 2, and is really pretty small in size, 4-passenger, and is typically used for reconnaissance-type missions. As for fixed-wing aircraft, so every morning we order an air attack platform. So that's an aerial supervisor. It's a plane that supervises all the aircraft in the sky, and that individual make a decision based on our needs on the ground and what he sees, and that factors in environmental conditions, wind, smoke, if he can get fixed-wing aircraft. So the fixed-wing aircraft would look like single-engine air tankers, small in size, up to very large air tankers, typical of like a commercial airliner. So that's all based on the conditions and what the needs are on the ground. So, and one thing I will add, and everyone has talked about it, but that's all based on availability and priorities regionally and nationally. So we can order them, and sometimes we just don't get them because there's higher priority fires. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the second one. What are the chances the fire can still spread north over Flint Creek? That's a difficult one to give you a definitive answer. And I always say, like, don't make any promises in this industry. We have containment lines going in on Flint Creek. We've focused efforts on Flint Creek for probably about 5-6 days now. Those efforts continue, and that's going to start. They can see the map? Perfect. So that's going to start in the area around Pleasant Valley, moving west. And so those containment efforts, we've got folks all the way out to Josephine Ranch Road, doing a combination of heavy equipment work, hand crew work, and really that's it. We're preparing it, and then there is ranches, private lands out there that we're working to get those containment lines around and encompass them so that those, in the worst case scenario, the fire comes to Flint Creek and or gets over it, that they've got preparation in place, and that looks like hose lines, tanks, again, preparation for that stuff. How far, excuse me. Question 3, how far are the fires from Caldwell, et cetera, to the east? Still quite a ways. It's quite a bit of distance that it would have to travel. One thing I will note is that currently where the fire sits, and it's in heavier fuels. It's in your juniper, sagebrush type fuels. As you move east, you get into more of a grass component and sagebrush. The only reason I mention that is grass and sagebrush generally move quicker with fire, but as I mentioned initially, it's still quite a ways from the large communities that surround the greater Boise area. That is it.
Appreciate that. All right, next up, we're going to bring back up Marty Adell with the U.S. Wildland Fire Service. He had a question.
Any better? Okay. Once again, why were the RFPA personnel and equipment being relied upon so heavily on this incident? So typically every year our staff works with the RFPAs to do refreshers for this very thing. Multiple times during the summer, on any given summer, we jointly suppress fires. Many of the times, especially looking at where we were talking in this area, the RFPAs are the first on scene. Those individuals live there, they work there, and when we're getting the fire call to respond, it does take us a little while. So usually during IA, we're working hand in glove with those individuals. And once we get there, tie in, control the fire, and then the RFPAs generally within the first day or so usually go back to their homes or work sites. This case was a little bit different. As stated earlier, on the 23rd, the 22nd, and 23rd, we had a tremendous amount of lightning that went up through Nevada, Oregon, and this area of Idaho was on the easternmost flank of those fires, or those lightning causing clouds. With that, we had multiple starts in those 3 days. The 23rd, 24th, 25th, we had upwards of 17 fires all over the area. A couple up north by Weiser, as stated earlier. Mayfield had a very large fire that was going through in between some of the homes in there. We had a 16,000 acre fire, the Duncan fire, just south of Bruno. In this area specifically, we had one multi-thousand acre fire just outside of Murphy, and then south of where the fire actually is, we had multiple fires down there. The Deep, the Tree, and the Pier fire, which the Pier fire actually was consumed by this one. So we had individuals throughout that whole area, and we were tapped out. We were calling for reinforcements. We did have extra resources that we had been pulling in for the previous couple days because of the potential for lightning. We called in as well smoke jumpers and repellers to assist us with these fires that we did get on. So that was the reason why we relied, in this particular case, so heavily on the RFPAs on this particular incident. We were tapped out, and as we got folks available, We tried to help them, especially on that lower end near where the Piers fire was, on the southern end of this fire. And then as the team came in, as I explained earlier, we generally try to get those folks back ready for IA for the next day. But we do depend on their RFPAs on any given fire every given summer. So, thank you.
Great, thanks, Marty. Appreciate that. I've got one more question for UPS. We're going to bring Jimmy back up.
Thank you.
Jimmy Hidalgo, Operations, back with you. Question is, if it jumps Flint Creek, what is the backup to keep it from advancing into northern Silver City? So prior to yesterday's wind event and through fire behavior in his briefing and the modeling and information that we get from him, there was a decision made to stand up what we call contingency groups. And those are dedicated resources that are solely responsible for looking at alternative lines. And the folks that look at the perimeter look tight, look at what is the best, most realistic option for us to pick this up as small as we can. Our contingency folks look at, if that doesn't work, what's next. And so we've stood up two groups, a contingency north, two branches, a contingency north and a contingency south. And that's their sole job, is to look at if it gets over Flint, what's next? If it gets over another control feature that we have out there, what is next? And so they're being staffed with resources. Again, a lot of the same types of resources that we use for perimeter control, heavy equipment, crews, those types of things. And they are looking at and currently putting in lines.
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate that. All right, so there was a question about volunteering to fight the fires over the next couple of days. So I encourage folks to go work with your local NFPA to get set for the next time. So maybe work with those folks, see if you can join that group for initial attack. But over the next few days, we're going to work with our federal firefighters and the firefighters we have working for Team 5. Next up, we're going to bring up our incident commander. He's got a question, and we'll close it out with him.
All right. So my question is, why are there not more contract dozers, engines, and water tenders being used? There are still a lot of local Viper contractors with available resources. So as you guys know, specifically the people that asked that question, contracting is a federal government and local nightmare. So that is one of those things that we're trying to correct. But right now, a lot of the reasons is that there's a state line between Oregon and Idaho. And our staffs at the expanded dispatch centers, they're trying to get those all the resources they can. So they're working tirelessly day and night to get as much as they can. So we're working with primarily two different dispatch centers in Vail and then also Boise. And we're assisting here out of Caldwell and Jordan Valley. But we're trying to get all those available resources. So if you have some, reach out to us, and we're going to try to work through the staffs of those expanded dispatch centers to try to get all available resources. A lot of times there's not a box checked, or if in the computer system that they're available, or there's a missing contract appraisal or a contract performance appraisal done. So a lot of those resources will go down the dispatch priority list, and they'll fall to the bottom, and sometimes we don't get to them. And it's not necessarily it's just the system process of how those contractors are listed in that DPL list. So if you do have it, we do have quite a few outstanding orders for dozers, engines, and water tenders. So if you do have them, please reach out to our local team here, and then we'll try to get access to those lists. Once again, thank you, and it's a privilege to be here.
Great, thanks, Dustin. Appreciate that. So that concludes the meeting for this evening. We're going to look at opportunities to go back out in the community, talk to you guys face to face for public meetings. We'll let you know when those come about. Thank you for joining us this evening. If we didn't get to your question inside the chat, don't worry, we'll get to it and we'll respond to you. You guys have a great evening. Appreciate you.